Okay, here we are for lesson 2.2, dividing by one-digit divisors. Today we're going to solve and check division problems with one-digit divisors. Okay, we need to remember some words related to division here before we get too much farther. We have two ways that we can write division problems. This first way, 20 divided by 4 is 5. In this problem, that 20 is the dividend. And that's kind of like the amount of things that we have total. The next number is going to be the divisor. That would be like how many groups we're splitting it up into. And then last we have the quotient, which a lot of people remember is that's the answer in a division problem. It's the answer to how many how many are going to be in each group. We also have problems that get set up like this. Please draw in that division symbol for me. That's hard to type, so go ahead and draw that in. In this problem, we still have a dividend, divisor, and quotient, but they're in different places. So this type of problem, the divisor is out front. The dividend is inside. Ooh, sorry, a couple stray marks there. Dividend is inside. Dividend, and then the quotient is up top. Of course, if we had anything left over, then that would be the remainder. And for right now, we can just put R and then whatever's left. This problem doesn't have anything left over. But if it did, that would be the remainder, and we would just put it out to the side. Okay, let's do some practice here. Jenna's family is planning a trip to Oceanside, California. They will begin their trip in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and will travel 2,754 miles over 9 days. The family travels an equal number of miles every day. How far would they travel each day? So our problem is 2,754 is the dividend divided by the divisor of 9. So let's get that set up. I'm going to use the grid to help me keep things lined up. So here's my divisor, and then dividing into the dividend, 2,754. And then I'm just going to use my normal strategy for long division. 9 does not divide equally into 2, won't go at all, but it will go into 27. And that will go 3 times. And that one actually goes equally. 3 times 9 is 27. I don't have anything left. I'm going to bring down my 5. 9 does not divide into 5, so I'm going to place a 0. And then 9 times 0 is 0. That gives me 5 left. Bring down my 4. I can divide 9 into 54. That's going to go 6 times. And that should go evenly. I won't have any remainders left. So in this situation, they will travel each day an equal number of miles. That's going to be 306 miles per day. Just take a moment to check your work. Make sure everything is nicely lined up before we move on to the next problem. Okay, in our previous chapter, we talked about how we have inverse operations. Multiplication and division are inverse operations, which means that they are opposite operations and they undo each other. Addition and subtraction are opposites. Division and multiplication are opposites. Because they're inverse operations, you can use multiplication to check your division. So that's what we're going to practice on this problem. Now, I don't have a grid set up for you here. If you want to draw one on your paper, you're more than welcome to. Just make sure, whichever you choose to do, that you keep your numbers nice and lined up. Sometimes that means that you have to write a little bit bigger than normal, just to make sure that you keep track of your spacing and your lining up. So 6 is my divisor, 102 is my dividend, and I'm going to divide. 6 does not divide into 1, but it will go into 10, and it will go 1 time. I'm going to subtract 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Bring down 2, and then 6 will divide into 42. That'll go 7 times. And I don't have anything left for a remainder. So now I can check that, and I can check it by taking my quotient and multiplying it by my divisor. And if I have divided correctly and if I multiply correctly, I should end up with my dividend. So let's give it a try. 17 times 6. 7 times 6 is 42. There's my 2. Here's my 4. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 more is 10. So it looks like I did that correctly. 102 is what I got for my product, and that should be what I get for my, that should be my dividend. That should match, and they do. So I must have divided correctly, and I must have multiplied correctly. Okay, next we're going to kind of take the idea of division and multiplication being inverse operations. We're going to throw in a little algebra. We are going to try to find the unknown number by finding the value of n in the related equation. So here we go. I've got n equaling 7 times 63. Because my n is over here all by its lonesome, that means that whatever 7 times 63 is, that must equal n. So I'm just going to figure that out. 63 times 7, and then just multiply that. 3 times 7 is 21. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 2 more, so 44. So in this situation, n equals 441. If I were setting this up as a division problem, it would look something like this. 7 would be my divisor, 63 would be my quotient, and then 441 would be my dividend. So just keep that in mind, that this is my dividend in a division setup. Okay, next one's a little trickier. My n is not all by itself, it's over here. I'm kind of thinking that that maybe is my remainder. As I'm looking at this, I know that if I were to multiply 6 times 125, that's going to get me pretty close to that. I'm thinking about, how I would check that type of problem. And then I would add my remainder on. So let's try that and see if that will work. So I'm going to multiply 125 times 6 and figure that out. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 more, which is 15. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 more, which is 7. Okay, now I can see here I'm really close. I multiplied and got 750, and I need this to equal 752, so I'm kind of looking at it like this. Now, I figured out my 6 times 125, and so now I'm just looking for my n, and just looking at this, 752 and 750, I only need 2 more to get this to be equal. So I'm going to say that my n equals 2. And then also keeping in mind the division problem, 6 would have been my divisor. 752 would have been my dividend. 125 would have been my quotient. And then I would have had 2 left over, so this would be my remainder. So just something to keep in mind, hint, hint, wink, wink, nod, nod, for when you practice. You'll have to figure out what is missing, what part is missing from the problem. All right, you are ready to practice. For the first 2 problems, you're going to divide, and then you're going to check your work through multiplication. And then the next 2 problems, you're finding the value of n. So go ahead and push pause. For these problems, I'm not going to go step by step to talk you through them. I will show the work that you need to show. So if you make a mistake, that might be helpful so that you can see what you might have missed. Go ahead and push pause, and responses and answers will be here when you're ready. Okay, answer to the first problem there, 724 divided by 4. My quotient ended up being 181. When I checked, that work looks like this, and I did get a product of 724, which checks out with my dividend of 724. So I'm good on that one. Okay, on the second problem, 297 divided by 7, my quotient ended up being 42, remainder 3. When I multiplied that out to check, I got for product 294 right here, and then you just need to add on that remainder so that you get 297. And that final number there, 297, does check out with my dividend, so I'm good to go on that one. Okay, on these next two problems, we're finding that value of n in each equation, and then we need to write what n represents, so n equals whatever, and then tell what n is, so what part of that division problem that it is going to be. Again, I'm not going to talk through these. I'll show you the work that you would need to show for this, and then if you have questions, then we can help you in class. Okay, on that first problem, n is all by its lonesome over here, so that's pretty simple to figure out. I'm just going to do 4 times 58, which ended up being 232. So n is 232, and that would be the dividend. And the related the related division problem would look something like this, with that 232 being my dividend. Okay, for that second problem, that n is right here. Looks like I'm adding it on, so when I figure out that 84 times 7 was 588, that's only one away from 589, which is on the other side of my equation. So I'm just going to add on one more, and I just caught myself making a mistake. Hang on, let me fix it. Here's my eraser. Here's my eraser. Well, it won't let me erase. So take care of that. N equals 1, actually. And that is the remainder. The related division problem looks like this with 1 as my remainder. Okay, you've made it through another math lesson. Make sure that you check your understanding and make sure that you write something down. Everyone gets to share every week. So make sure that you write something down so that you have something good to share. And I'll see you tomorrow in class.